Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Welcome to Let Me Bore You to Sleep. My name is Jason Newland. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. And, my website is Jason Newland. No. My website is Let Me Bore You to Sleep. Yeah. .com. Don't ask. It's just, I made some changes. Not all changes go smoothly. I have discovered. For example, I'm just going to open my laptop. Now I've got that shining in my face. Okay. So, I've had a lot of problems with my Apple Podcasts the last few days. I think it's now sorted. I pray it's now sorted. But it's taken quite a lot of effort to get it done. Yeah. So hopefully it's all done. I'd say all done. It's never going to be complete, but I hope it's done as in working correctly. Please, 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 please. Because the stats were ridiculous. Yesterday, I mean, honestly, 263 downloads of my podcasts. 263 in one day. Now, you know, it can go down quite low sometimes if I haven't recorded anything for a week or 2 weeks or something like that. But bearing in mind, I'd recorded one on Monday, Tuesday and Friday. So there wasn't really, unless the recordings were just really bad. So I need to get these lights sorted out because I don't like the lights shining in my face. I know the picture isn't great. I'm doing this on YouTube. It's very windy. Very, very, very windy. I don't know why I'm doing it on YouTube. So what I've been doing is I've been trying to organise my website, letmeboretosleep.com, so that I just wanted to get everything kind of back to normal. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I don't know what normal is anymore. No. So what is this? I look at today. Today is the 20th of September 2025. And so Apple Podcasts is now back. Now, eventually. And I got it back by about lunchtime-ish. So it's been about 6 hours, and it seems to be kind of getting back to normal again. Ish. But I know how difficult it can be. Alright, yeah, I'm seeing that some of the people that the places that normally listen are still listening again. That's good. But I'll give you an example. Like yesterday's Let Me Bore You to Sleep, which was Q&A Friday. I looked at the stats this morning, and I think I had 3 listens to the 10-hour version with music, or 6 listens since yesterday. This was this morning. You know, I mean, I'm not getting millions a day normally, but 6 listens, and when I upload, I would get that in the first few minutes. It's very strange. Even on SoundCloud, if I upload a recording, what are you doing? Oops, something went wrong. Okay. So SoundCloud's not working for some reason. Oh, now it is. Alright, so as soon as I upload something to SoundCloud, pretty much, you know, get a few listens sort of straight away within minutes of doing it. With Spreaker, the stats take about an hour or so, maybe 2 hours to show up. So whatever I've got now, you can add a few hundred onto it. So by, I don't know, 6:45 in the evening now. So by midnight, it's going to be, maybe not double, but it's going to be getting on to sort of double what it is. If it's like a standard day, that is. Which, I'm not sure what is a standard day? I don't know. Is there any boxing on tonight? I don't know. I'm not sure. So yeah, so I'll get rid of that SoundCloud. A little message to Sebastian. That was Sebastian. I'm just trying to think, because this is like Saturday summary. I made a lot of changes, and I think I got a little bit carried away. And I had a lot of messages on Facebook telling me that basically the new recordings are not showing themselves. And it just got a little bit like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? So I did post this 8 hours ago, hopefully fix the Apple Podcast issue. So it must have been about 11 o'clock this morning. It's drained me a little bit. Drained. And I've got a new person joined Jason Newland's boring group on Facebook. So I'd like to say hello to Kaylee. Hi Kaylee. And also yesterday, Karen. Hi Karen. So welcome to Karen and Kaylee. Welcome. And if you'd like to join Jason Newland's boring group, then just please go to Facebook, or if you go to my website, letmeboreyoutosleep.com, there's a message, it's basically a link at the top, Facebook group, and you can go there and just join. So I've had messages from people telling me that it's successful now and everything's up to date. All the old stuff now plays again. So, yeah. That was a weird face I just made on the computer screen camera. So I spoke to my GP. I had a doctor's appointment on the phone on Thursday after having spoken to the mental health nurse a month ago, and then having spoken to the doctor's surgery a week ago. And then I got to the doctor's called me on Thursday morning and has referred me to the mental health team, and the mental health nurse is going to contact me on the 30th of September, I think, something like that. So yeah, get that. The doctor increased my medication, so I might become even slower than I already am. Even slower. Just when you thought that I couldn't get any slower and any more boring, and it might be the medication that makes me boring. Maybe if I didn't take my medication, I wouldn't be boring and slow, and I would be talking so quickly. See, you can't get to see me what I was like in a kind of a manic-y phase, because all those videos were lost. But there was a little phase back in 2011, probably looking at summertime. And I was laughing at things that weren't even funny, really. It was weird. I was very hyper, a little bit. And I remember I did some stuff on camera because I was making regular vlogs back then on YouTube. My cousin contacted me and said, I'm worried about you because of some of the things I was saying and doing on there. So, yeah. And that was shortly before I was... that was in the summer, and then December I was diagnosed with bipolar. For the first time. I do remember I actually had a review, a psychiatric review back in 2004. So I was having severe anxiety between November 2003. It lasted for years, but luckily it reduced sort of during 2004. It reduced a bit. 2005, 2006, it was almost kind of sorted. Not sorted, but like it wasn't seemingly all the time. And that's part of the reason why I started doing audios and videos to try and help calm people down, calm the mind, perhaps a distraction, maybe just a calming voice to listen to. Which is kind of what I needed for myself. Anyway, I waited for months for this psychiatric review. I mean, I was initially, I'm talking about mental health here, so I should say don't listen to this if you don't want to hear about my mental health stuff. I'm not going to go into any juicy details or anything like that. I'm just going to sort of, I'm not going to talk about it too much. Although there is some stuff I'd like to say, but I won't. Shall I? I would quite like to make a video or recording where I open up about some of the more personal aspects of my life in the past and even now. But it doesn't necessarily fit together with the lightheartedness or the lightness of what these recordings are supposed to be. So I don't really get into heavy conversations, really. I talk about factual stuff, I've seen a doctor, I'm seeing a mental health nurse or whatever. But I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, really. It's just, I give you an update on what's going on in my life. That's part of what this is. And so this is kind of I suppose quite a funny story. Not funny, but, kind of funny, but also a little bit sad. So what happened is, I was first, when I first started going to the doctors, because I was on antidepressants in 1995. That's the first time for anxiety and depression. So, and then I was on them again in, I think, probably 96, then again end of 97, and then probably nothing until 2002 November. So I went for quite a few years where I don't think I had any medication, but I might be wrong. It's hard to remember. But back then I'd take it and I didn't like it and I'd stop taking it. I also had two friends that were very, I wouldn't say unsupportive, but judgmental. Because they didn't understand. I had one friend saying to me, it wasn't saying I was weak because I was on medication, but that's kind of what I took from the conversation. So my response was, well, stuff the medication, I'll stop taking it then. Or maybe the person said that I felt that they were saying that I was reliant upon it and, medication shouldn't be taken long term. Well, what do you do for a long term medical condition then, my dear? What am I supposed to do? Bipolar, EUPD. Bipolar is not a short term thing. You don't just take medication when you're feeling bad, or take medication, when you're too high. You can't just take medication to bring you down, and when you're feeling too low, you can't take medication just to bring you up. It'd be nice if I could, and then on those days where I'm kind of average, just wouldn't take anything. I'd love that. Just pop a pill and then I'm fine. But because of the nature of it, it's a daily routine to keep those levels of, serotonin and balance in my brain. I don't want to be on medication, but you know what? I had a friend, and I used to know him at the Buddhist Centre, and he said something to me that was really... he's part of the reason I think I wanted to go and visit Thailand, because he loved the East. He'd travel all over Vietnam. I'm trying to think of different countries, but that whole kind of area, he just loved it. And he kept telling me the people there are so nice, so friendly. And he said, you won't understand it unless you go there. You need to see for yourself how lovely the people are when you go to, Vietnam. I can only think of Vietnam and Thailand. I know there's lots of other countries in that area. I just can't think of any. Canada? I don't know. But he said something to me. And I remember I was at the bottom, behind the Buddhist centre, there was like a cabin. It was an actual building structure. And we would use it for classes, like meditation classes or teaching classes, or groups to getting together and stuff like that. And it was just separate. So it fitted probably 6 people, like chairs-wise. I mean, it wasn't a lot of space, but there was a little toilet and a coat rack, pretty much everything you needed, a little heater. So therapists also used to use it. There was an acupuncturist that used to use it, who I went to a few times because I've tried so many different therapies to try and help with to relax and my situation. And I like acupuncture. I think there was a Reiki person possibly that worked down there. So they just rent the room by the hour. And what I did when I became a counsellor, I also rented that room. So for private clients, but also people that because I also did the free chronic pain relief service there as well. So I used that for the same thing. I also used it when I lived round the corner from there. This is in 2011. I used it. I used to go there in the night time. I'd asked them first. I didn't just turn up, but I had the keys to get in, and they was okay with it. I went there at night once everyone was gone, so like 11 o'clock or something, and I'd stay there for a few hours and I'd make videos, hypnosis videos and stuff like that, because it was quiet. Well, anyway, one day I was in there and I was waiting for a client to turn up. And my friend, the man I'm telling you about, he was there as well. And some of the other people were there, and they were meeting up. But he was there. I'm not quite sure why he was there, but he was there anyway. And he told me, he said, because I was going through a very difficult time at that moment, and I pretty much refused to take medication. I refused to go and get help. And he said to me, he knew my history. He knew my history of all the different things that had kind of times I'd been on medication and stuff like that. So we had a little bit in common from that perspective. And he knew that I had a bit of an attitude about taking medication. For me, not for other people. I don't judge other people for what they need to do. But for me, I just didn't want to take it. I didn't want to be... I don't know how much of that is just... how much of that is other people have influenced me with their attitudes, with their stinking thinking, as Ziggy Ziglar, whatever his name is, would say. So he said, anyway, it's in the summer, and he said to me, I said, what? He said, I said, no, I heard you go, but why? Why are you going, for? He said, well, you're clearly not doing very well. I said, no, fair enough. Can't argue on that one. And he said, why don't you just go back to the doctor and see, maybe get back on the antidepressants? This is, bear in mind, this is before I was diagnosed with bipolar. So I knew I was not doing too good, but I didn't quite know didn't know about that part of it. And because this is after me being all like manic and stuff previous, so this is probably the end of the summer, probably kind of September time, or maybe August. And I said, no, I just can't be bothered. I don't want to be reliant upon it. I don't want to be dependent upon it. And I think there's a part of me still used to think that maybe it made me weak, which is ridiculous. But there was kind of a sense of, it's a weak. It's, I want to be stronger than that. And he said, look, because he was a lot older than me. He'd retired, so I was in my... Wow. What was I, 40? Wow. Or maybe, I probably hadn't even turned 41 yet. So I was 40 years old. One more wow. Wow. So I was a young man. He was probably... I would say probably late 50s, maybe early 60s. He'd retired early, but I probably had about 20 years on me. And he said to me, little JJ. I said, don't call me that. Don't call me that. He said, okay, sorry. He said, Juicy JJ. I said, that's right. That's the nickname, Juicy JJ, not little JJ. But he said, anyway, he said that he went through the same kind of thing where he didn't want to be on a tablet. He didn't want to take tablets, didn't like the way that made him feel. But he realised, the side effects made me feeling a bit tired, a bit groggy, a bit slow or whatever. Everyone's different, aren't they? But he said after about 40 years of going through that, he decided that he'd rather take a tablet a day or 2 tablets a day, whatever, in order to feel stable, in order to feel maybe human even, in order just to be well, to feel well most of the time. And he said there's no shame. There's no shame in doing what's necessary. If your appendix burst, you have them taken out. You don't say to the doctor or the surgeon, "No, it's all right. I'll keep them. I'll suffer." Now, I'm not comparing appendicitis, a burst appendix or whatever, which can be fatal, of course, and it probably would be if it wasn't medically sorted out. But it's kind of a comparison, it's like when something's needed, you wouldn't think twice about it, would you? You're just like, okay, take it out. It's just, that's it. There's not really a conversation. They don't even ask, do they? My brother had a burst appendix, and he was rushed into surgery. It was an emergency. He had sepsis, and he's fine. He survived and everything, but he was very ill for a while. But at no point they didn't ask him, "Excuse me, Mr. Newland, Junior Juicy. I'm just wondering, is it okay if we remove your appendix or what's left of them? They didn't. They just took his appendix out because that's what was necessary. I don't even know if he was even conscious enough for them to sign, for him to sign a form or anything like that. I visited him, of course. I was a little bit disappointed because there was no grapes. I thought there was supposed to be grapes in a hospital room. He had his own hospital room. How ridiculous is that? Since when does anyone get their own hospital room? He had his own room. I don't know how he figured. How he? I don't know. Anyway, I thought it through, and I thought I kind of thought about what my friend said, and it did have an effect. It was annoying to start with. I thought, oh, shut up. What are you talking about? You don't know what it's like to be me. I'm different. And then I started thinking, you know what? This is something I've been going through on and off since I was a little kid. So it's not a new thing. It's not, the mood swings. Sometimes you can contribute it to puberty, or adolescence, mood swings. You can contribute it to lots of different things throughout life. Bereavement and stuff. That there could be lots of different reasons for people to have issues with their mood, or instability with the mood. But if it's happening all the way through your life, and it's not like it started when I was 20 or 15, I'm talking as far back as I remember, I've had extreme moods all the way back. I just didn't tell anybody. That's the difference. I didn't understand why other people weren't feeling the way I was feeling. But I also didn't understand why I wasn't feeling the way other people were feeling. Because there'd be times when everyone was like miserable and I'd be happy. Then I'll be sad and I'll be tap dancing and ruining the funeral. And I wasn't tap dancing on top of the coffin or anything, but I'm just saying I'd love it. I wouldn't necessarily tune in to the event because my mind was doing something different. And I've been at some of the most wonderful events as far as like everyone seems to be happy, and I'm not, for whatever reason. And there's no there doesn't seem to be a reason. It's like there's no logic behind it. I remember I was at the what's his name? He's the biggest motivational speaker in the world. World's biggest motivational speaker, Tony Robbins. Why have they got Bear Grylls next to Tony Robbins? I know Bear Grylls may be popular, but Tony Robbins, there is no one as big as Tony Robbins, like as far as worldwide longevity and all that. Plus he is probably the tallest man that's ever lived. He's about 8 foot tall, did you know that? It's true. So I went to a Tony Robbins event in London in 2000. I think it was 2005. Might have been 2006. I think it's 2005. Yeah, probably. Maybe it was 2004. Might have been. But I went there and I think I stayed at my friend's because he gave me tickets. So I think I stayed with him. And I enjoyed it. I did. I enjoyed it, and I'd listened to his recordings, because that's another thing I've been trying to do for a long, long time, is trying to increase my motivation, trying to increase my positivity, trying to go against the grain almost at times. And it doesn't always work, but I don't give up, so I keep going. And I couldn't get into the old I don't know what I want to call it, the cultiness of it, the going along, because every now and then said, if you believe this, say I. Like, I'm not going to shout I more than once. That's once. I'm not going to keep saying it. You're not going to condition me, Mr. Robbins. No. So he is really good, and I've never known anyone that can talk for that long, that fast, for that long. I mean, literally, he doesn't take a breath for like 4 or 5 hours. I've never seen that before, not on stage. I think because he's naturally talks so fast, when he decides just to slow things down and talks a bit slow, I think he's kind of taken a nap in between sentences. It's just because he's normally so fast, no one notices it. That's what I'm thinking. He just switches off and just like, and then she said this, I'm your mother. I don't know, just whatever he says, the stuff he says. And it was very... a lot of people, there's about 10,000 people there, very excitable. I'm not a very excitable person. And I'm not saying that in a good way. Some people are very extremely lively and extremely enthusiastic. I wish I was like that. In a way, no matter how annoying it might be for other people, it'd be nice. I'm just thinking of a couple of people from the past that would be so excited about something like it's a toilet roll holder. Why are you excited about a toilet roll holder? But everyone's got their own thing, haven't they? I think my base level is not too high. With positive psychology, there's a theory that no matter what happens in our lives, we kind of have a base level, and that base level can be risen up, with positive thinking, positive affirmations, diary writing, what other things I'm trying to think, like gratitude journal, things like that. But the general base level is what we end up going back to. Whether, no matter how low we go or how high we go, we have a tendency of going back to the base level of mood. And as I said, it can be risen. Some people just tend to have a higher base level, and some people have a much lower base level. But it's not stuck. I think that's the point. It feels stuck, but it's not. It can be moved, but it takes effort or extreme stuff in life. But generally, that base level kind of stays where it is, if it's left alone. So, for example, someone wins the lottery. If they're naturally maybe not high energy, but I'm not a high energy person, so I'm going to be high energy to a degree. If I won the lottery, I would seem high energy in some ways, but in other ways I would still be kind of be in touch with that level. And the heightening of, ooh, I got money, I can do stuff, I can buy myself as much chocolate as I like, I can get trousers made of wigwams. That makes no sense. And then, are we allowed to say wigwams? I don't know. I just did. But then I'd end up going to my base level. Now, if I use that situation correctly, of having money, helping other people, helping myself, living a nicer lifestyle, travelling, improving my outlook on the world and life, then my base level is much more likely to rise up. However slightly, it will rise up. But it won't stay at that top bit of where I first won the lottery, because generally the theory is the mood goes back down to its general base level. So if someone's got a high base level where they're generally positive, when they go really low for whatever reason, generally they will go back to their base level. So it'll be very difficult, it'll hurt, it'll be painful, it'll be uncomfortable, but they will go back to their base level. I mean, thinking about it, for someone like me, or someone that walks around, I say walks around, but someone that lives their life in a much more positive, higher level of, I don't want to say high level of consciousness, but their base level is much more optimistic, bright. It's not being, disrupted continuously by their brain. Because mine is kind of just, it's almost, it touches the base level, and it's just, so when I'm okay, it's still not great. It's weird. And then it's good, and then it's really not. But someone's got a higher base level in their normal life, would be a happier person. But then when things are not good, perhaps I'm just thinking off the top of my feet, perhaps it feels much worse for them because they're not used to it. They're not used to the low. As opposed to someone that is used to it. I'm used to it. It doesn't make me a superhero. I'm just saying. So I just had to have a quick break there. Fiddy was barking. Oh, like really loud. Which means I don't understand. I don't remember what I was talking about. Ugh. Oh yeah, base levels. So anyway, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I don't know what I was talking about. I was just basically just jabbering on, really. Just having a yabba jabber, as it were. A jabber wabber. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. If you're listening on my podcast, maybe visit my YouTube channel just to have a look. If you fancy a laugh. Because I haven't got to say anything funny. Just my face. That should be enough. Just look at me thinking, wow, how could anyone be that pink? He must have a lot of light shining on him. I don't. It's really weird. My face is so bright. When I look in the mirror, I give myself sunburn. There's no, that don't even make sense, does it? Hello, Vinny. How are you, Vinny? Vinny's underneath the desk, looking at me. Hello, Vinny. The reason he was barking is because his girlfriend downstairs was coming in, wasn't she? His girlfriend who lives downstairs. You love her. Yes, you do. You love her. You, Vinny. You love her. Yes. So, okay, I'm back. If I do make more videos. Oh yeah, there was a spider downstairs and she was screaming. That's why he was reacting. So I went downstairs and the spider was on front of her, near a door handle, and she wouldn't go in. So I got the spider and took it outside. It was quite handy. I used Vinny's lead and I put it around his neck and just, dragged it outside. A huge thing it was. She did say to me, "You're not scared of spiders?" I said, "No." I said, "What are you scared of then?" I said, "Crocodiles. Less chance of seeing them on your doorstep. Blocking your door handle." I used to get that when I was... I used to take Andre, my ferret, into town. That's in the days when I used to go into town. And I didn't have him off the lead. I didn't have him walking on the lead in town. I'd always, if it was busy, I'd have him in my coat. Or I'd be holding him, or he'd be inside my jacket with his little head looking out. His little face. And sometimes people would scream. Like they'd turn a corner. Ah! Ah! And I'd understand if I had, I don't know, like a skateboard with a big shark behind me, pulling it along. Or, I'm trying to think what kind of other animal is scary to people. A gorilla on skates? I don't know. I don't know why it has to have wheels. I don't know why wheels have to be involved. So this all started when I started talking about my first psychiatric review. Now this is 2004. I waited for ages and ages and ages for this. I'd been diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, depression, recurring anxiety, recurring depression, depression disorder, major depression disorder, clinical depression, you name it. They just kept chucking all these titles at me. I felt like a professor at the end of it. And none of them were useful to get a job though. But I have what was that sound? Look at this that I found, look. So, that week was weird, because I think it was on a Wednesday or a Thursday. Yeah, I think it was a Tuesday. It was a day. Anyway, it was a day during the week. Now, on the Saturday, I received a letter. I wish I should have kept it because I could read it to you. And basically what it said is talking about starting the new year the same as every other year and wanted to do something different this year, and here's my telephone number, and I was trying to think, what the heck is this about? So I checked the address, and it was definitely for me. I thought, Now, it turns out I was probably drunk at the time, but I put an advert in the the Love Heart section of the local newspaper. I don't remember doing it. Anyway, she replied. I'm guessing she replied to everyone, to be fair. So we went out. I phoned her up. She said, "You all right?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Do you want to meet up?" I said, "Okay then." Because I'd learned, having done blind dating, as in... Okay, maybe not blind dates. What's the pen paling or blind dates? The trick is to... There's a very fine line between first speaking to the person and first meeting the person. There's a very short period, not always, but just quite often, where if you want it to go well, you need to kind of make the move. And sometimes in the past I've left it too long, where I became almost best friends with them on the phone, hadn't even met them, didn't know what they looked like. This is a days before, being able to stream and live cam, and I don't mean live cam as in chatterbait, I mean live cam as in Facebook, streaming, saying hi. I don't know how many dates I would have had if we had cameras back then, video cameras. I never did very well on those things. You know, the ones where, there used to be these things called roulette. They did it with voices, and then when the cameras came out online, probably 20 odd years ago, they had it. And I went on there, 25 years ago probably. And your picture would be on there, and it'd be really grainy, but the picture was good enough, clear enough for them to see that didn't want to talk to me. It's like just swipe left or right or whatever it is. So yeah, that didn't really go well. The only time I ever get any kind of attention from women, because I joined that Plenty of Fish years ago, and I was in my 30s at the time, probably 20 years ago, probably. I don't think I got one person under 50 that showed any interest in me. And I don't know if it was just because of how I look. I don't think I'm particularly photographic. Now, you can't see on camera what I really look like, because I don't know why, but the camera seems to hide all my good looks, all my sexiness, my chiseled jaw, my long flowing dark brown curly hair, and my perfect vision, tiny little nose, You know, it's all hidden. It's all hidden on the camera. It's all hidden on the camera. And you get this. You get me. And it's weird. It's kind of like it's a bit fake, really. It's not real. But then I don't feel too bad because I've seen pictures of people, and the way that on Facebook or on Instagram, the way that people manipulate the photographs to make them look like, make themselves look completely different, and there doesn't seem any point in that. I mean, for fun, yeah, for fun. But if it's a dating profile, what's the point in portraying yourself as looking completely different? And I'm not saying I'm not saying, we should show all our faults straight away. I mean, you know, you're doing a close-up so you can see your blackheads on your ears or whatever. You know, I don't mean that, but take a picture of yourself after you've eaten a sausage roll with all the bits all over your face and in between your teeth, and like, yeah, okay, that's not perhaps your best picture, but unless you want to meet someone that likes sausage rolls, the problem is, see, I could make myself look different on a camera. You know, I've got editing software, I've got ways of changing how I look. Even in this video, if I wanted to, and I haven't, just so you know, but if I wanted to, I could make my eyes smaller, I could make my head smaller, I could change the colour of my skin, I could do all kinds of things. It's ridiculous what you can do with editing now. But I'm not going to do any of that. And I don't know why I'm telling you that I'm not going to do any of that, because if this is the result of me working really hard on editing my face to look better than what I normally do, then something's gone wrong, hasn't it? I mean, you know what I mean? So how does that work, though? So you put on a made-up picture, looks nothing like you, and then you go on the date. How is that going to work? Are you just going to hope that maybe the other person's done exactly the same thing, so that it doesn't matter? I don't know. I mean, how would you even know that you were the same person? Because if you go in, oh, I'm going to meet you in Weatherspoons or whatever, some pub, and you both have messed up with your images, so neither of you look how you really look, and you turn up at this bar full of people, you're not even going to meet each other unless you walk up to each other and say, "Hi, are you Juicy JJ? Are you Shoshana McEnroy?" Or whatever. So yeah, anyway, so this lady, I realised that it was because of that advert thing that I posted in the local newspaper, and she responded. I mean, obviously, needless to say, my picture wasn't in the newspaper, and I realised that if anything was going to happen, we just have to make it happen now, you know, soon. So we ended up meeting, I think, Monday night. Yeah, it was Monday night because EastEnders was the next day. No. Yeah. Whatever day Holby City was on, it was the night before that. So I think Holby City used to be on a Tuesday night. Unless it was on a Thursday night. This is 2004, January. I think it was a Tuesday night. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So I said to her, you know, what's your best feature? And she told me. I said, okay, when do you want to meet? And she asked me a bit about myself. I said, she said, do you want to know anything? I said, no, that's fine. That's all I need to know. So we just had a little chat on the phone. She seemed nice. She seemed to like me. So we met up. I went to this bar. She was already in there. I think she might have been in there a while before I got there. And I sat down, said hello. She said, I don't know if she was particularly excited to see me, but she acknowledged I existed, so that was a start. Didn't completely ignore me. That's happened before. That's enough about my wedding. I gave her a... Oh, what's it called? What are those eggs? Kinder Surprise eggs. I gave her one of those. So I said, there you go. Give you something to play with, if you get bored with me. And we laughed. So we had a drink. I didn't drink the whole of 2004, so that intrigued her because she seemed to be enjoying drinking. And then we went to another place, and then we went back to my place. She wanted to come back to mine. I didn't expect that. I never expect that. I just didn't see that coming. I thought it was just going to be a date and then probably wouldn't see her again, or maybe I would see her again, but just, wasn't expecting anything interesting to happen. And at the time I was living in a YMCA, not in the hostel part, but in the flats part, so studio apartments. So I did have my own studio apartment. But it was messy. And there was stuff on the floor. I just said, just wait here. I went in, I tried to chuck everything underneath the bed. It wasn't good. I just didn't know. I didn't think there was going to be another human in that flat ever. Or that studio thing. I didn't think anyone would ever go in there except me. So she spent the night. I had fun. I don't know if she did or not. The relationship did last one more night. So we spent the Monday night together, spent the Tuesday night together, and on the Wednesday, it's a little bit like Craig David's song, except, it's 7 nights or 7 days. Spend the night on Monday. I phoned her up on Sunday. We went out on Monday. We made love on Monday night. And then we met up on Tuesday again. And then Wednesday she dumped me by text. I'm not sure how those lyrics would go. But she... So the Monday night was pretty good. It was quite a good night. The Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock, I had my very first psychiatric evaluation with 2 psychologists. Or psychiatrists, psychologists, I'm not sure. And they said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm good." And I was smiling because I'd had a really good time and I was in a good mood. And I was on a waiting list for ages to see them. But the reason I'd been waiting to see them wasn't how I was feeling in that moment. And they couldn't understand that. I was trying to explain to them, I just had a really good night's session. I'm not sure how I worded it, but I was just like, I'm in a good mood because of that. Trust me, this is not my normal, this is not what I'm normally like. I'm just still buzzing from that because I got to hold someone's hand. She let me touch her leg, ooh, her ankle, ooh, you know. And they didn't get it. They was like, oh, they decided, they went outside, not outside in the cold, but they went into a different room or into the hallway, I don't know. I wasn't looking through the keyhole. They were in the hallway and they decided that I was okay. There's nothing wrong with me. Didn't need any help because I was in a good mood on that day. Now, at the time, bearing in mind this is 2004, I'd had over a year of really, I mean, I'd lost my job, got into debt, loads of things because of my situation. And they weren't taking me seriously because I wasn't taking myself seriously. Because I was struggling to take myself seriously because I'd had a really nice time. And I wasn't I wasn't drinking or anything like that, so I wasn't hungover. I was just buzzing from, I guess, a different type of stimulation. So instead of my brain stimulating me in ways I didn't want it to, my brain was being stimulated, I was going to say manually, but that's probably not a good way to put it, is it? But it was like more naturally, it was kind of a nice kind of thing. I don't know how to really verbalize it, but they didn't take it seriously. The fact that I was grinning and smiling and laughing probably didn't help. That's the thing, isn't it? You can't. Yeah. And then, so I go through the next, how many years? So yeah, I go through the next 6 years of, this is ridiculous. It's like, yeah, losing jobs and all kinds of things because of my mood stuff. And it took a doctor, again, this was 2011, in, I don't know if it was August, maybe it was July. I went to the doctor. This is when I realised that, because I'd gone from being up to not being up. And this doctor, it wasn't my regular doctor. I think my regular doctor was, I got an emergency appointment, so my regular doctor couldn't see me. So, and this doctor I'd not seen before. She looked back at my files and she saw that I'd been on medication since 95. And all the different things that have been on my record, on my, on my file and all that stuff. I just banged my microphone. And she said, have you had a psychiatric, ever been referred? And I said, yeah, I got referred 2004. But I got laid that night before and I was just in a good mood. She laughed. And I said I wasn't really representing myself very well. She said, well, in future when you're with a doctor, maybe don't mention getting laid. I said, okay. Do you feel I should have said something different to them? She said, I'm talking about me. Shouldn't have said it to me now. So, oh, okay. Ooh. And I still got the letter. Well, I did have the letter. I'm not sure if I got it now. Somewhere. She said, I'm going to refer you to a psychiatrist. I said, okay. So to get a diagnosis, because she said that you need a proper session, be taken seriously, because this is just happening too much and it's been going on for too long. So that's what happened. So I was put on antidepressants, and then I went to the psychiatrist at the beginning of December 2011, and after quite a long time dissecting my life, going back over stuff and also looking at my medical history, I was diagnosed with bipolar affective disorder and put on medication, which I took for a few days, and then stopped. I still took the antidepressants, but I didn't take the antipsychotic stuff. And then 2012 went by, still all over the place. 2013, I was still on the so I stopped taking the antidepressants. 2013, I went back on antidepressants in the springtime. And then about August, September, I couldn't go back to work anymore. Just couldn't do it. And eventually I was referred to see a psychiatrist again. This time I saw 4 different psychiatrists interviewed. And I think one was twice and the other 2. So 3 different psychiatrists. One I saw twice, and I saw another one, and this was like over probably every 2 weeks. And they decided that I had bipolar affective disorder. So I was not reassigned, that sounds the wrong word, isn't it? I was re-diagnosed with what I'd already previously been diagnosed as, with anxiety and stuff. And so I started going in having psychotherapy. So I was on a waiting list for that. I was put on medication for the mood stabilizers for the bipolar, and still took the antidepressants as well. And then I didn't know, right? I had psychotherapy for over a year and a half. I think I was finally released 2017, or was it 2018? So from 2013, for 5 years, really. So from beginning to them releasing me, it was a 5-year period. It wasn't like all the time for 5 years, and I wasn't hospitalised or anything, but it was a 5-year period when I went to the bipolar group and, all different things. And eventually, after 5 years, I was released from my contract. And my psychotherapist, first I went to see her, and then she started coming here. It's my psychologist, and we were doing, I didn't know what we were doing. And she said something to me once, because I don't know what it was I said to her. It was like a question. I don't understand this. I don't understand why this happens. I said, I don't know why I'm like this. So I was sitting over there at the table. She was sitting opposite the table, and I had Andre running around trying to get inside her purse. He was literally inside her handbag at some point. It was funny. She didn't laugh. I did. And I said, I don't understand that. And she said, well, it's probably it's because of the part of the personality disorder. I said, what? So this was 2015, right? No one said anything to me about having a personality disorder. I knew about the bipolar. They told me bipolar. I'd already been diagnosed before. Bipolar, okay. No one mentioned personality disorder, but they diagnosed me and not even told me. That's my official diagnosis, medically, yeah? And I was upset because it tapped into something separate, which I won't go into, but it was really weird. So I suppose really I wasn't properly diagnosed with bipolar probably till 2000. No, it was 2013, the end of 2013, I suppose. So it was over a year and a half before I even heard about the borderline personality, like emotionally unstable borderline personality disorder. EUPDP, emotionally unstable personality disorder with... Okay, I've got to look this up. EUPD with there's different things it comes with. It can come with. Okay. Emotionally unstable personality disorder. It affects only 1% of the population. It's common for EUPD to coexist with other psychological health conditions, e.g. depression, other anxiety and stuff. The cause usually includes both genetic and environmental, with a history of childhood stuff. So DBT, what my psychologist was coming around and doing with me was DBT, called dialectical behavioural therapy. I didn't know that. I didn't know. So she was really there more for the personality disorder than for the bipolar. I mean, with bipolar, there's coping strategies. There's an overlap with what's going on here. Some of the symptoms: intense, fluctuating emotions, with mood changes from hour to hour or day to day. Tick. Relationships, difficulty maintaining stable relationships. I don't even try to anymore. Impulsivity. Yeah. Apparently, that's what mine says. EUPD with impulsivity. I think I'll have to look it up, but yeah, it's really weird to see something and just like it explains you. It's very strange. But there's also the bipolar as well, so it's both of them. I don't know why I'm talking about this today, because this isn't really let me bore you to sleep. proper. Really, Vinny? Are you really going to be making noises like that? This isn't really... maybe I'm just going to call it talking about bipolar and BDP, EUPD. I don't know. Talking about being mental. I suppose I could put that down. How mental am I? I don't know. It's... I don't know what the title could be. But yeah, I thought it just seems to be what I've talked about. I don't ever really plan what I'm going to talk about. But I guess if I put it in the title, then people are going to know. It makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense to me. I've got a very iffy fart building up. It's a confusing fart, you know, I'm not sure if it's safe or not. And I literally just had a shower a few weeks ago, so I don't want to make a mess. Wow. Oh dear. So yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about this. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't know why I'm talking so much crap. So that's it really. Yeah, I'm just chatting about... I suppose because I've been going through it a little bit, and I suppose I kind of would like to kind of explain a little bit about what it's like from my perspective. I don't think I have really. I don't think I've particularly delved too deeply. I've touched the surface, but I don't know. I didn't expect a therapy session. Nobody expects a therapy session. I don't know. I might have a cornetto. I know it's not perhaps relevant to what we're talking about, but I suddenly got the urge to purge on cornettos. So that's it. I'm going to go. Thank you for listening. And remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. Lots of love. Bye.